Ben Haase, personal narrative. I want you all to take a second and think about your childhood home. What words or phrases come to mind when you think of that? Anybody?
Comfort.
Comfort.
Nostalgia.
Nostalgia.
Love.
Love. Absolutely. For me, I have a very unique experience. When I think of my childhood home, I think of a 7-story brick building on Wheaton College's campus. That's because my mom is the resident director of Smith-Traber dorm, and I was born and raised in a college dorm. Today, I want to tell you a little bit about what that was like. And hopefully, through one of my stories, you can learn how sometimes we make assumptions that are incorrect. Growing up in a dorm was a crazy experience. And as you can imagine, I have a lot of crazy stories growing up. Me and my brother would oftentimes run through the halls of the dorms, playing games, having Nerf battles, and inviting all of our friends over for huge games of tag and hide and seek. When I was just a little baby, my mom would put a sign on my back that says, "Will you babysit me?" with her phone number on it, and push me down one of the girls' halls. Usually, it wouldn't be more than 30 seconds to a minute before she'd get a call saying somebody was absolutely willing to watch us. It was like having hundreds of friends right outside my front door. After I'd get home from school, I'd run out in the lobby and play with Jack Reichen or my brother and all of the college students. I'd go around with one of my favorite games like Settlers of Catan and Monopoly and walk up to students doing homework. I could usually find someone who was willing to procrastinate a little bit. I'm probably not a professional at much, but I would say I'm a professional at lobby roller hockey, which was me, Jack Reichen, and my brother Chris's favorite pastimes. I played hundreds of games throughout the lobby and hit 1 or 2 unsuspecting college students on the way to an amazing goal, I'm sure. I think that growing up in a dorm helped to form who I am. A lot of people ask me the question, what it was like growing up in a dorm. And that's a really hard question for me to answer because I don't know anything else. Even these past 2 years, as a freshman and a sophomore, I've also lived in Smith-Traber dorm. So when people ask me that, I usually just respond, it's like growing up with hundreds of older brothers and sisters always around. During my freshman year of high school, I was in the lobby one day working on a homework assignment, as I often did, just on my laptop, and a student came and sat down next to me. He looked up at me and he asked me if I was a freshman. And I'm sitting there working on my work, not thinking about the question too much, and I think to myself, oh yeah, I'm a freshman in high school. So I look over at him and I'm like, yeah, I'm a freshman. And he's like, okay, cool. He goes, do you live in Smith-Traber? And I'm like, yeah, I live in Smith-Traber. And I'm sitting there wearing a Wheaton College Class of 2020 t-shirt, which I have plenty of the class t-shirts. They're usually a pile of them left around at the beginning of every year after the students have been handed them. The next question he asks me is, so what's your major? And I look up at him and I go, oh, I don't go here. And I just see this bewildered look come across his face as he's looking at my class t-shirt and thinking back through the questions that he had just asked me. I think this is a great example of when a simple miscommunication can cause a large misunderstanding. Throughout life, we make a lot of assumptions. We label people by their environment and where we know them from, things that we see them do. We've all heard the phrase, don't judge a book by its cover. But oftentimes, we do. And oftentimes, we're wrong. Ever since that conversation with that student, whenever I meet somebody new, I try not to make assumptions about them. Because oftentimes, the dots don't connect. I want to leave you guys with a challenge today. Try and be aware of when you put people in a certain box and label them a certain way. And instead of doing that, strike up a conversation and really get to know who they are. Thank you.